Okay, everyone, you are now welcome to Guide. With us, we have Megan and Matthew. We have the divine Ms.M. and we have Mathues Imhotep. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes. Good enough, Mathues Imhotep. Yep.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you here. Now, episode 2 was epic. We had almost 7,000 people who watched it, and it is continuing to grow in viewers. And a lot of people had some interesting comments. They were really into it. And now it's the opportunity for people to ask questions. So I know people are going to be trickling in a little at a time. So just to get us started, I know you have some intel that has been kind of flowing in. And deep disclosure, you had Tolek who interviewed you as well. I listened to that. That was fabulous. And we have Mitch who says he's excited that you guys are here. And you are also hosting in Sedona soon a conference. So let's first talk about the conference and then some of the intel. So go ahead with that.
Okay, this is our second annual 7th SEAL Summit. And this year we're doing it in July again, and this is July 5th, 6th, and 7th here at the Creative Life Center. We have 3 days this year, which we only did 1 day last year, so we're excited to kind of bring more to the stage. We have some familiar faces from our last year's event, who you can learn all about the speakers that are presenting at the 7sealsummit.com, and also you can purchase tickets there. But we're going to do, I'll be doing a live reading this year, which I did not do last year, so an audience read. And then we're also doing an amazing sound journey, where I'm bringing in a lot of really talented musicians, and it's just an amazing experience. And then we have other, activations, meditations. This year, Mathues will be presenting on, what is your topic this year?
The Saint Germain codes. I'll be doing a deeper reveal. Recently, I released my first episode of the Saint Germain codes, so 7 series reveal, and I'm putting that out there in a variety of places. I'm having some trouble with Patreon right now, but nonetheless, it will focus in on the language of light and how there was information hidden in the plays and sonnets of Shakespeare, as well as the books that Sir Francis Bacon wrote. And so, as many maybe understand, Saint Germain was Sir Francis Bacon before he faked his death.
Interesting. Very interesting. So now let me just back up real quick. So with the conference, you have quite the lineup, and the reading that you talk about, Ms.M., tell me what kind of reading. Are you going to be doing that on stage? Are you going to have people come up and you're going to do a reading right then and there? Or what's that going to be like?
Well, it's going to be an audience read. So I haven't worked out the logistics completely with that, whether or not we're going to have people, with questions or just open it up and see what comes through. So I've done some group readings before, and this is certainly the largest crowd that I've worked with. And so it'll be interesting to see how it flows. But what I find is that generally the people that need the messages the most, their loved ones are pushier. They kind of come to the front. And so that seems to be what comes through more. So it'll be interesting, especially with the medical intuitive stuff that I do, because often I'm feeling a lot of these things that are going inside of the bodies of people that I'm reading, or their loved ones who are coming through. So that's going to be interesting to see how this works with that many people. I'm hoping it's not too physically overwhelming, but yeah, I'll be bringing in messages however they come through for people in the audience.
Okay, we have a hand raised, and somebody wants to know about the panelists.
About the panelists for
the conference. Who are some of the panelists who are going to be there?
So you can we can run that list down, but you can also go to 7th Seal, and that's 7sealsummit.com. There's a list of the speakers, and we're still trying to bring in a big keynote speaker, like we've been speaking with Emery Smith. We've been speaking with Robert David Steele. We have a couple other people we're reaching out to, so we're going to try to have one, very special guest but you can.
And that person would be included in our panel as well. So if you're speaking about asking specifically about the guest panel, which would be more like a live deep disclosure. So Tolek will be joining us for that. And we haven't completely decided who the other ones are. We may have some special guests for deep disclosure that you guys have not met before. It just depends on where we are with security, if we can bring those people on stage.
Those are basically like some of our secret partners. So by then we're hoping that we can come out a little more, with who they are and what they've been doing
with us.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Mathues, okay, now you talked about Saint Germain and he being Sir Francis Bacon. So about the fake death, tell us a little bit about that. Go into some of that background, because some people don't really realize that.
Well, historically, there's about 6 locations that it was recorded that he died. It basically was stated that he got sick, and passed away very quickly. And, what people probably don't fully realize is that when he wrote this first book called Advanced Learning and released it in 1623, he has a chapter in there called cryptography, and he reveals, some of the encryption methods that he uses. And so if you do that on that book, the first paragraph or sentence says, "If I'm not dead yet, stop, because the information I'm revealing could get me killed." And so he proceeds to tell the truth about his mom was Queen Elizabeth and all these sorts of things that he faked his death. There's 5 layers of encrypted messaging, and the 5th layer is numbers. And so I've read books on the subject. I've done some of my own encrypting, and of course I'm more interested in the numbers, and I'm finding that he knew a lot of these language of light numbers that I'm bringing forward.
So interesting. We have a question from somebody about light codes in music. Can you expound upon that?
Well, it's pretty interesting that 147258, which are the numbers on the points of the Merkaba, are often found in classic music. The melody, or I'm not a guy that can speak music that well, but that it's often a repeat. Those notes that correlate to those numbers bring a very harmonic, very harmonious feeling to the music. So obviously there is a greater correlation between frequencies and colors and musical notes and the like, and I will be kind of bringing a little bit of that out. In any case, that's what I know so far.
Very interesting. I know that there was the 432 hertz, and that was hidden for a long time, and it was then modified to like the 440, and that kind of jumbles people's minds and makes.
Well, that's a very good point. There is that, of course. 440 is very discordant in relationship to 432. If you have music in 432, it's very pleasant. It elicits a feeling of ease, and the other is very troubling, basically, when you compare the difference.
So fascinating. And for those of you who have not logged onto 7 Seal Code, the videos that Mathues has basically unfolded for everybody, they're amazing. I mean, talk about new information and light codes and the Saint Germain codes and everything. I mean, beautifully done. The new information, and they're so concise and easy to understand. I mean, years of information that you've studied and made it so plain for everybody to digest is really beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Really nice.
By the way, I just finished editing, revising and expanding my first book. I've given it a kind of a face look, a whole new look and feel, and I'm adding author notes, so the commentary is highlighting with breadcrumbs, because now that I have a greater understanding of where this is all going, I'm doing a little bit better job with, accentuating that. And so I'm making that available as of today, even. I was taking a break from it to come and talk to you.
Wow. Well, thank you. That's amazing. Do you feel that Saint Germain guides you through this, or
Absolutely.
yeah, tell me about that process.
Well, I have a number of braiding. Do you know what braiding is?
Talk a little bit more about that for other people who don't.
Okay, so when I was in my 20s, I was joined by some other, and historical figures like Edgar Casey. He overshadowed and braided into me. Now, and overshadowing is something that typically undoes. So he was with me for about a year, and it, became complete, and so he withdrew. And so, but a braiding is more permanent. And so when a soul or a higher self or an oversoul or whatever entity you want to imagine the terminology to be wants to work through you, there's two ways they can do it. One, overshadow. Two, braiding. And braiding means they actually merge with you and they become one with you. And so I'm kind of saying some things between the lines here without saying them, but I've had a few mergings occur over the years.
That's beautiful. And, I kind of want to dig deeper into this because I know a few people listening to this today have experienced walk-ins. So I know there's differences like you're talking about of the overshadowing and the braiding of those.
So walk-in is different, whereby you leave. And so the other soul personality remains.
Okay. Yeah. So let's get into those differentiations. You touched upon it. You started to touch upon it. So some people may feel like, okay, my consciousness is not at the level for them to stay. So should I be offended by that? Or do I just need to grow into this?
Well, okay, let's say you're getting a braid with your higher self. Like you have to reach a certain frequency in order to maintain that braid for it to stay with you, or else it can't stay inside the body. But it's different like it's not, if someone's like overshadowing you, they're really only meant to be with you for a certain period. They're not meant to stay with you the entire time. So it's not because you're an unworthy vessel that it's moving on. It's that it's time to work with you is over. Much like just the rest of your life, you'll have different like spirit animals that represent where you are in different stages. And so you might go through another initiation and another animal shows up to work with you at that time. So it's some of them are meant to work for a period of time, and some are meant to shadow you like throughout your lifetime, and some are meant to braid into you, and you are like embodying this. You are reconnecting with that aspect of yourself.
Oh, I love that. That provides so much clarity. Because on episode 2, Mathues, you were talking about how at one point, one of your guides said, you are the master now, and you didn't need them anymore. And for me, I thought, well, that's interesting, because I know I had certain guides tell me, okay, we're leaving now and a new set of guides are coming in. And so that was different than your experience though. So it's
that was different. I had Ascended Master Al Moria, who was kind of a long-time guide for me. And he was teaching me and speaking to me very directly inside of my head. And so, he was indicating that he had, given me everything that he could, and I didn't need anything further from him.
Yeah, I love how all of these guides and, like you said, oversoul, or even the higher consciousness, or iterations of ourselves, they do different things, different ways, and they could stay with us for a time or a season, or they could stay with us longer. So, or braid into us. So different ways. And I thank you for the clarity. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me another question there about examples of numerology.
Yes.
And light codes embedded in things.
Yes.
Well, the English language was crafted to have many number messages, or the idea of these frequencies, or, for example, the Merkaba, which represents the male and female uniting, or the mind and the heart uniting, which is an ancient understanding for reaching higher levels of consciousness. You have to become, when these two become one, then you access higher levels of consciousness. And so the example there would be the word Merkaba. For those that don't understand numerology, you take the vowels, and that would represent a top number, and the consonants represent a bottom number. Those two numbers are 7 and 8. And when you bring those two numbers together, it's 15 or 6. And so the word Merkaba has 7 and 8 that would be two numbers that make up the whole. And what has been done to encode this message further is that the word left adds up to 7 and the word right adds up to 8. The word heart adds up to 7 and the word brain adds up to 8. And so, this mirroring of a message is echoed throughout many words that tell the story, that highlight this process of ascending consciousness.
So fascinating. Wow. So the intel that you're receiving, one of the comments that you got on YouTube from episode 2, the gentleman, he wanted to know about the mana. Let's see, what was it called? It was one of the financial systems. And I know you've been asked a lot about that. And you said, no, we don't work with them. So if you could clarify that a little bit.
Yeah.
We can each say something about that. So we don't, want to bash anybody. I mean,
right.
That's not our way. But, we tried to work with the individual, and we just found that that was impossible for a variety of reasons: ego, belief in things that weren't true, examples of behavior that wasn't conducive to working together. There's a list of things, and they do get worse. Those are just to keep it simple and polite.
Okay. Did you want to add anything, Ms.M?
Yeah, I mean, we want to keep it civil, and we've just had really unfortunate working relationships with this individual. And in fact, we hired her as a CFO for a company that we were working on a couple of years ago. And she was on salary for a couple of months and did zero work. Oh. And misrepresented the company and could have got us in a situation of fraud. So that one, thing is a little bit out of integrity for us. But it's certainly not the reason why we don't want to work with her in the future. It has to do with some other tactics that she uses. And we can't be associated with that kind of stuff. It's just,
well, we don't need her. Our partners have all the codes necessary, all the authorities necessary. We have all the support of everybody that's significant in the arena. We are not supposed to comment too much on the levels of support and involvement and participation across the board at the highest levels. There's a lot that we could, reveal, and we will at the right time, but we don't really, have a need for anyone. We have everything that we require to get the job done.
Yeah, and she's certainly not important, but she maybe is not as necessary as she makes it out to be. Like, there was a document that she released that was a private document that should never have been shared in a public space. And not only was it a private document, it was doctored. She had recreated it to make herself look more important. And so I don't understand why somebody needs to do that if they're being, and the future is all about honesty, integrity, and transparency. And if you can't bring that stuff to the table, maybe you shouldn't be trying to build a new world on your own back.
Wow, that's scary. Very interesting. So, okay, we have another question about clarification associated with GCR and how things are going currently around those things.
Okay, well, obviously there's a lot of hype, recently that things are going to get done any moment. What we do know is that some aspects of new systems have been released because we work with some very high-level bankers that are getting some things done for us. And so we do know that various things are being implemented. And of course, we want to do our own, and we are well underway with our own bank and our own system, so we don't have to trust anybody else, is the main reason. But let's see. So, the points that always concern us in relationship to releasing these large amounts of money, if it doesn't go through a system that's protected and ran by people that are white hat and integrious, the funds are just going to get stolen anyway. And so, it couldn't be released through the current system. It couldn't, even though the elders, believe that they have the means to do this, from what I understand, there's ways that that's being prevented until it's absolutely ready.
And then what about quantum financial systems?
Well, we are definitely building a quantum financial system. We have quantum technology, and there are other systems that are being released that say that they're ready to be able to be plugged into quantum technology. It's our belief that they don't actually have quantum technology yet. A lot of people that I've talked to that have done research on quantum, it's very difficult to find, like even the big boys, IBM and Oracle and the like, they're saying that they're trying to do this, but it's years away from being done. And so, but we have things that are done and ready. We do have, more sophisticated technology that's already, working. And we're not supposed to talk a lot about that because of, a variety of different reasons. And so maybe other people have stuff that are done too, and they're not talking about it because of, intellectual property concerns or whatever. But as far as what we know that's actually active, there's a GSI system. There's an alliance system that's in a beta testing state right now with 70 banks interconnected. And we've been invited to be part of that beta test.
Oh, wow.
So, we have our finger on the pulse of these new systems. And so I think that sort of surmises. But, coming back to our partner who was very concerned about things that were released through Ben Fulford's site, I guess Ben issued an apology. Last we checked, he hadn't taken down, the PDF of who one of our, top partners are. But at least he retracted the negative things he was saying.
I don't know about that. Tell me a little bit more about the apology and everything that happened.
Okay, well, Ben Fulford, has been reporting on the new system, our group, as I've indicated, I've been doing this a long time. And so he was about 80% accurate when he was talking about the things we were doing to launch a new system. And recently he put up a very classified document, a very significant document revealing the name of a trust, the name of our partner, his picture, his passport number, and some things that were very concerning because this stuff could be duplicated, and people could try to impersonate, or just
happens.
It just messes things up. There were some things that were supposed to happen, and now they've been delayed because of it. And so, anyway, I was told that he was going to be paid a visit from some family members and some lawyers and stuff. So maybe he was, because he retracted. Actually, the comment apparently was left out on one of these RV blogs, the apology. So it wasn't actually on his own website. But so if you were, wanting to look at that, it's still there from what I understand on his main page.
Very interesting. Speaking of quantum financial types of things, President Trump came out with quantum computing uses, and it says National Quantum Computing Act that came out not too long ago, which I thought was
in December.
Yes. Wow. I mean, for the government to invest in something like that, I thought that was really unique. You don't hear administrations of the past investing in something like that.
Well, he's very forward thinking, and he wants to bring Tesla technology um, solutions to the U.S. and to the world, and so there are a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes that are very positive along those lines. That again are kind of current, so we can't mention too much, but we're very pleased with the kind of alignment that's occurred for all this new technology.
Yeah, one of the lines here, it says it uses qubits to store information in parallel dimensions. That was in the act that he signed.
Well, that's also some of the systems that are already being utilized have that ability. So it is very telling that he would say that.
What's interesting is some people don't even believe in parallel dimensions, and yet President Trump is coming out with this act. So I think it should give pause to people to really look into this, metaphysically and question their belief system. So I think it's fascinating. What do you tell people when they say, "Oh, that's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo," different dimensions, parallel universe type things, multiverses? What do you tell non-believers?
I don't really encounter that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But I would tell them, there's more than meets the eye in a variety of ways. Having a dream and having it come true, or deja vu. There's just all kinds of stuff that suggests that there's far more going on than meets the eye.
The
Mandela effect.
Yes.
Another perfect example of all these things that are changing.
And even as a child, I had the logic within my brain to understand when I looked up at the night sky and there were all these stars, that it was just impossible for us to be the only people in the entire universe, and that everything was just for us in this simulation that we're participating in. So there are too many things that prove otherwise, and I just have to use your brain a little bit.
I agree. Absolutely. So what other intel can you tell us about?
It's always a loaded question.
I know.
Don't think about it. What can we say that's not going to hurt anybody or hurt our current operations?
And what kind of things, well, for instance, what kind of things do you face when you say hurt you or anybody? What are some of the things you face security-wise?
Well, we have some protection on us on the ground and from above, so we don't really worry too much about our own personal safety. Though we have had attempts on other team members' lives, and we have had people that have been physically harmed recently. There have been casualties on this side of the alliance as recent as the last couple of months here, and more so it's the agencies and military people that are supporting us that we don't want to put at risk, because they actually have their lives on the line. They could be harmed physically, or their families, and so those are the ones that we don't want to hurt. And then we also don't want to bring too much light to current operations, because there is still an opposition out there, and the more we talk about it and the more attention we put on what we're doing, the bigger chance that it's going to get blocked.
Yeah, let alone that they ask us to not, because they won't help us if we don't, abide by their requests.
That's scary. That's very scary. But as you said, we won't focus on that. We'll focus on all the good that's happening. So, okay, here's another question. Ocular visual frequency perspectives. Let's see. Any light you can shed on that?
I don't know what it is. Do you know that?
You want to expand on that? I understand part of that, but
Okay.
I'm not sure what context.
Like, what's the question? And I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Expound on the questioner. That's from Mitch, it looks like. So, okay. I'm sure he'll start typing more. Until we get a little more on that. What types of things are you working on? I know more videos on light codes. And
Well,
then
that's always a side fun thing, but there's a lot of new technologies that we're involved with, that we're preparing and positioning, like free energy, or we're involved in creating new media, new ways to reach people. We have a lot of powerful, good contacts in like Hollywood that we're working with. We have the banking stuff that's going on, and all these things that are going on are like groups that we've been invited to be a part of, or have brought together the pieces. And so there's a variety of things that are being simultaneously constructed that'll plug together to create like a meta platform you've heard me talk about, like a super global solution where all these amazing technologies are complementary in a new way, whether it be the new internet, the new security protocol, the new wallet, the new smartphone, the new broadband. We have all these things at a very, very high level, and all of them, everybody that's doing them, they all want to see, a super solution. We have new search engine technology. We have new, the list is quite long. Am I missing any?
No, I thought that was pretty comprehensive. Okay. Yeah.
Now, are you, with the synchronicities, are those helping you find them, and then they're finding you as far as these groups?
Combination, and this show has helped people reach us as well.
Yeah.
So your show and other shows, getting the word out there that we're, forming an alliance.
I feel that, this revolution was broken down into different factions and compartmentalized. And so we've been working on the financial aspect of it predominantly, but we've also been gathering all of the technologies that other people got downloaded with, that are meant to be a part of the big picture. And so the last year or so since we came out publicly has been about inviting people into our circle, and it's more like a reunion, really, because it's all of us tribe that's been spread around the globe that prepared for this time. And so other people,
there's a lot of soul recognition. Yeah, that's exciting. Like you, for example.
I agree. I feel like people are tapping into the Akashic, and then we're making this cohesive tribe coming together and collaborating.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, and then with Hollywood stuff, are you hoping to create maybe a movie and then having that unfold?
Yeah, we have a lot of content. We have a slate of 25 pictures, actually closer to 30.
Oh, nice.
And so we will be weaving, powerful story content through there. We've got a couple TV shows that are planned. We have a new app that's going to basically be, a little like Patreon, a little like Netflix, a little like, you can follow whoever you want and subscribe for, a nominal fee and have access to the things that they want to show you. Like whatever, working on some artwork or their next song or whatever. But, we have some very high and notable names that have participated, that desire to be on the first phase of the launch. Well, I don't want to say who those are yet, but big names you would recognize. People you'd have an interest in following.
Nice. Very exciting.
I was wondering if there was any new galactic information that could be highlighted.
I don't know. There's a question here, though, about discussing the possibly discussing the sacred twins coming together. So, sure, we can talk about that.
What is that all about?
Well,
yes, discuss.
our interpretation of it is a little bit different. So at the beginning of all, creation, you have the 24 creator beings, Elohim, the males and females that sit opposite each other on the table and are kind of perfect mirrors of each other. And so there's, again, okay, so this is where it starts, and then they're all of us are basically archetypes of these beings. We're a version of them in this form. And so because of that, there are aspects of ourselves walking around, the mirror archetype is walking around on the planet as well. And so some of these unions are coming together as our manifesting abilities are higher, our vibration is higher, people are finding their way to each other. However, this is not necessarily a romantic partnership. It doesn't necessarily need to be that, because we are multidimensional beings, and we've had many, many lifetimes. I mean, we put probably, if you've lived on this planet a few hundred times, you've had many spouses, and those could be your soulmates, but that doesn't mean that, so it doesn't mean that your twin is necessarily a romantic partner for you. It's somebody who embodies the, mirror reflection, the opposite of you. Like Matt, you and I are opposite of each other on the wheel.
Zodiac wheel.
The zodiac wheel, and mirror each other in many different ways, but we're not a romantic partnership. And so we're just mission mates.
Oh, we love each other.
Yeah.
So I could comment on that a little. Also, I've had a lot of very detailed past life recall on a variety of lives. And so I have some lives in Egypt where I remember some significant aspects of a story that many people, remember being a part of. And so in that story, there's a couple key characters. And so I've met this particular woman character over and over and over again, like probably 17 times or something in this lifetime. And so that beckons the question, okay, like a lot of people tongue in cheek say, oh, well, you were Cleopatra, blah, blah, blah. How can there be so many? How can everybody, well, not everybody, but a vast majority of women, let's say, remember being the same person? How's that even possible? Well, it's easy, because if there's only 12 males and 12 females that are the Elohim that created everything, in essence, we're all duplicates. We're all, when you go online more with your higher self and access like the great computer in the sky that's you, all the experiences of that particular oversoul are accessible. And so, you could have 12 women remembering that they were Cleopatra, because the one person that was, the information about that life goes into the, computer of the oversoul, the Akashic history, or whatever you want to call it, and is being tapped by the raising of consciousness. You'll start to remember who you were.
That is so fascinating. Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay, right.
Raw. I don't know what that's. The ram. That one's for you.
Well, what I know, is each of the zodiacal epochs, that last 2,100 years, basically, which is also an interesting thing to ponder. Everybody thinks we're coming into the age of Aquarius. Well, that would mean if we started, 160, let's say, years before Christ, then it would be 2,160 years. So each of these epochs, zodiacal, durations of time, right, that represent a house. Like so the one in question there was Pisces. So, we have the Piscean age at the time of Jesus. And before that, going around the wheel, referencing, Aries, the ram god, okay, back the time of Leo, back the time of the twins, okay. So we've gone through these, and at each one of those particular windows, the emphasis of that god was more prominent. Like when Moses and, they made a golden bull, or, you know, a calf, right? That was the age of Taurus.
Wow. Okay, good. You gave him clarification. So fascinating. I know, because, and going back to the sacred twin stuff, it seems like a lot of people have been very fascinated with the alpha omega energy, not only coming together within themselves, but then also finding what they feel or who they feel is their sacred twin, that energy, whether that's the mirror energy of themselves, the mission mate, or who they feel is a romantic partner. It seems like that is just growing and growing as the consciousness of the earth is growing.
It definitely is growing, but I just think it's important that people don't put too much emphasis on this, because it's maybe like as we become our full self and integrate our higher selves into us, then we can attract a partner, you know, that we can work with. And I think that intimacy and partnership is really important for our soul growth. And it's one of the reasons that we're here. However, it's not the only reason that we're here. And when you put your completion outside of yourself and you know, attach your happiness into finding another person to fulfill something in you that you're not fulfilling for yourself, it doesn't necessarily work out. It's not a really good balance or a foundation for a relationship. And also you're not living in the eternal now moment. You're waiting, you're offsetting your happiness, but with external factors. When happiness is a choice that you make every day, and every moment, it's not a status that you reach. It's a state of mind.
Yeah. And it goes back to even the financial stuff that people are waiting for, so to speak. Like you said, the scarcity mentality, when they can be making their happiness right now.
Yeah.
I agree. Absolutely. Were you going to say something, Mathues?
I'm just thinking about a variety of things, as I often do. Yeah, you know, there's a lot that could be said about a variety of things, but being complete, yeah, you know, that's something that I worked very early on, because I've been, you know, spiritually sort of awake and on my path since I was 17, and you know, that's some 30 years ago or more. And I basically spent a lot of time alone, you know, deepening my relationship with self. And yeah, I think that's a super key thing. You know, the more you fully embody yourself in the eternal now moment, as I like to call it, you know, the more you're going to attract, you know, the kinds of things that match that. And so, you know, I used to think, boy, I don't want to attract somebody right now because of how I'm perceiving things and how I'm, you know, still clearing these issues that are coming up and this and that. And so if you want to attract somebody that, you know, is your highest, well, you better become your highest.
Abraham Hicks talks a lot about that too. She's like, oh no, you don't want to attract somebody right now where you are. Because she was talking to a participant in one of her conferences one time. She's like, nope, you don't want to attract somebody right now, because he was going through this like depression and just trying to climb out of something. She's like, you want to clear stuff first and be at your highest joy before you go trying to attract, you know, your person. So absolutely what you're saying. Now, let me kind of take you onto a totally different topic about dreams. Now, or astral traveling even. It may not even be a dream. This may be a parallel universe. If somebody is feeling like they're being chased or they're being harmed or tortured in a dream, and it's a recurring dream, what advice would you have for them?
Well, again, okay, so there's a couple things that could be going on here. I've had these dreams often, and I'm in some like post-apocalyptic world, and I have a group of people that I'm traveling with, that I'm leading, and we're on the run, and we're in hiding, and we're trying to protect stuff, and so that is possibly, you know, visiting another reality that I'm existing in. currently, and because everything's happening all at once, right? So it's possible that our consciousness is being projected into this other reality. The other aspect of that in a more 3D way is if this is your consciousness working on some emotional stuff that you're feeling in your sleep, this could be representative of the fact that you feel out of control in your life and you need to get some things in order. And so, feeling overwhelmed, feeling persecuted, that's like translating into this dream scenario.
Yeah, I have a friend who it's like a beheading almost. So it's like, I thought, like, are their upper chakras being somehow attacked or something, or their higher consciousness somehow attacked?
I also have a suggestion. They could try sleeping with the 7th sail activator.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because my experience of doing that, I have more lucid dreams, more like profound dreams, more information dreams. So it steps it up and shifts it out, I think. When you take this kind of technology, like this symbol that we call the 7th seal, and the activator, I don't have one within reach.
I keep yawning. Sorry.
You're with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know why I keep yawning.
It's energy.
Because you're probably up all night most of the time. But anyway, these tools can shift things pretty dramatically.
Fascinating. Yeah. In fact, I have one.
Oh, yeah.
And when I sit on it or you put it under my pillow, those dreams are pretty intense. Pretty colorful. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Beautiful. So in fact,
how many people do we have tuned in? I can't quite determine that.
Let me see. Let's see.
Do you know?
Right now it looks like there's 3, but that's hard to tell sometimes. Sometimes
that's fine. Because I just want to, say it's a pleasure to, serve and to be feeling like, when you come to this planet and you feel like you're on a mission, like I'm not here to do small things. And so, it's an honor to be appreciated for what you're doing. And, we're just happy to be involved in the way that we are. And,
Yeah, it is really nice and to have some acknowledgement, but also one of the reasons why we came forward is not for that purpose. It's not about an acknowledgement, and it's not even, we're attempting to do something very big, and it's not an easy task to take on. But we didn't come forward to be praised for doing that. We came forward to say, like, look, we felt a call. This is what we're doing. What do you want to do to listen to your calling or to fulfill your mission or your purpose? It's more just like, this is what we're doing, and we want other people to get on board.
Well,
so either working alongside us or fulfilling their own ambition and their own passion. It's not, it was more for that purpose but we do appreciate. And
I'm excited by the people that are, joining, as it were, because I did this for a long time, very alone. I woke up at an early age and I was like, okay, I thought everybody was like this. Oh no, I'm kind of quite different, and there are very few people that I can talk to. And so coming out, as it were, is fun for me because, I get to have some friends, that are understanding these kinds of things.
It's true, because a lot of people feel isolated who I talk to and I interview. In fact, I had an interview just before you guys, and she's a Reiki master, and she also does hypnotherapy. And she said until her divorce, she was kind of in the closet with her spiritual gifts. And then her divorce activated her, she felt really free. And she said, I felt so isolated. So it's nice to feel like you can find your tribe, your soul tribe. So you guys are helping so many people, not just those who you touch around you, but just venues like this on a grand scale. And what you guys are doing is massive. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Any last thoughts that you want to leave us with? Because even though people may not be participating right now, I mean, we have a few, but this is going to be going on YouTube and, a few other places. And as you know, you continue to get thousands and thousands of people who, look at these interviews.
Yeah, I guess, the energy is intensifying. There's more coming in. So just try to be as grounded as possible so that you can really embrace these energetic waves and use them to become a better version of yourself rather than being pummeled by them and tossed around by them. There's something, I feel like some energy building up around the equinox, and which is coming up next week, and
Which is always the case, but it's being
yeah,
intensified by everything else that's going
yeah.
on.
I keep getting a hit for March 22nd. I don't know if there's another wave coming in. Some people have predicted a wave over the equinox, so maybe that's happening. But and so just prepare yourself, release as much as you can. Clear your emotional house, let go of what no longer serves you, and be ready for a new world. And on top of that, just be kind to each other, love each other, don't fall for the separation stuff. We're all in this
And the
together.
fear stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys noticed the increase in the Schumann resonance?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't always feel it though. Do you?
I do, actually. It affects, I usually feel when there's a spike, because I feel it, and it usually affects my ability to sleep. And then also it affects my clients too. So when there's like a week where the energy is really high, I'm having a lot of people that are suicidal, or just like kind of at the end of the rope, or feeling really anxious, or just feeling frantic. And so yeah, I am like aware of it when it happens because of my own feeling of it, and then the people that I'm encountering. Yeah.
So you have that, and then you have Mercury in retrograde right now, and then you have the coming equinox. Things are, intensifying for sure.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, beautiful people.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us.
It's always a joy to be chilling with you and talking about the things that we love the most.
Absolutely. On this beautiful sunny, well, at least here in Oregon, it's a beautiful sunny afternoon. How about there in Sedona?
It's really nice. It's been a nice sunny day. We got out for a hike earlier and just enjoying Sunday, except for this
The
guy.
snow's all gone. It's melted. Yeah, I'm usually
in his
cooped up
cave working on his book.
Yeah.
Nice. Any spaceships lately out there?
Oh, they're always here. Apparently, I took a picture a couple weeks ago, or last weekend over from the Bell Rock Loop of Cathedral, and somebody pointed out a ship that I didn't even see.
That's amazing. So many sightings. I love it.
There are a lot of them around, and there are more showing up. They've that was one recent galactic communication, that there were more ships arriving in case they were here, just in case they needed to lift people off the ground with these solar things that are going on.
Oh my, okay. 2 more questions actually that I have before I let you go.
Okay.
What did you think about the raid in Los Angeles that happened? What was that all about? So there's one.
Well, we've heard a couple different things about that. You mean when those Black Hawk helicopters were landing in front of Wells Fargo?
Yep.
Well, we've heard that there was some bombs in there that they were getting out, but I've also heard that, they were taking out some of the family assets. What are you in tune on that?
I don't know. I didn't really tune into it psychically, but
it was very interesting, though.
Yeah.
I also heard something about pedophilia ring type stuff and getting some children out. I mean, there's some stuff going around.
I mean, it was interesting, though, that it affected their, systems, and they couldn't be operational for a couple of days. So I don't know. I didn't press any of our sources for, we don't like to do that, unless it's really crucial.
Yeah, just interesting things going down. Yeah. And then, the whole government shut down for a while. And then the last question, other than the spaceships, anything that we need to prepare for as far as the galactics are concerned?
Well, again, it's just like they just keep stressing the importance of letting go of emotional stuff, like working on that, working on self-honesty, auditing yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror with truth and seeing where you are and letting go of stuff. You know, the basically what they've indicated is that when the massive wave hits us, the final solar event, it kind of pushes you through a life review that's like midlife. And basically what happens when you cross over the other side is removed from the veil of illusion. You have to look at yourself honestly and then decide what, you know, how your soul grew and what karma you picked up on your journey and what you need to do next in order to correct that or to grow from there. Well, this happens, and the hardest part about that is that you can't lie to yourself on the other side. You have to see yourself honestly and see the stuff that you did to others, and it may not paint you in a really great light. And so that happening here while you're actually living could be really intense emotionally for people. In fact, they indicated that some people could have a physical reaction to that, like you know, like a heart attack or a stroke. And so the more that we let go of, the more that we work on our own, the less that stuff has power over us. So we're like liberated and we're free of it. And so it's really important to do those things, and all the planetary alignments that happen and the waves that come in before it are preparing us for that. So like the planetary alignments that we had in January that were really intense, you know, we were kind of picking up all this energetic momentum at the end of the year after all the planets came out of retrograde. And there was a lot of stuff happening on the front lines with the takedown of the deep state, and just like, you know, energetically, there was a lot moving forward. And then in January, we kind of got slammed and stopped and like went to a standstill emotionally and energetically because of the planetary alignments, but they were bringing up old stuff that we needed to release, that we still hadn't let go of. So it was giving us an opportunity to just lighten our load a little bit and really look at those things. And so, you know, it's hard in practice, but it's easy in theory to think about those things. But yeah, it's harder in practice to do it. So we just have to challenge ourselves to really rise above, because it's better now. It's better to do it now before this happens, so that you can really utilize the light energy. And it's better to do it before you cross over, because it can make for a kind of unpleasant transition.
Yeah. And as far as like the Q drops, have you heard much on tribunals in Antarctica and things of that nature?
I haven't heard specifically about Antarctic tribunals. We have heard a few things about tribunals going on or military operations going on and people being rounded up, but not in that location.
Not no.
That doesn't mean it's not true. It's just, you know, we're really compartmentalized. So we get the stuff that we need to get. And they've been pretty tight-lipped about this stuff, about the tribunal stuff. So just little leaks here and there over the last couple of months about it.
I know one thing that just came to mind that I want to find out more about, that I will press for some information on. George Soros.
Okay, I was thinking about
arrested, dead, alive, on the run, what?
So
exactly,
I got a hit that he may not be with us anymore, but there was also a report that went up on both CNN and Fox. They were up for just a few hours before they were removed, claiming that George Soros, who had been taken into custody in Guatemala on child sex trafficking charges. So it went up on both CNN and Fox News, and some people were able to get screenshots of it before they were taken down. But not only were they taken down, but 8 people were fired over this incident. So cover up, I think so. I think there's something going on with Soros. And so maybe they've gotten that far up the chain. We're not really sure.
What's your thought on him being behind the caravans?
Well, I've heard from some sources that that's absolutely the case, and they have proof. They have evidence.
Very interesting. Thank you for those thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, you folks, you've heard it here. Unguided Q&A. Okay, lovelies, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. This will be put on YouTube probably in the next day or so, and I will be talking to you soon.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Many blessings. Glad to be
Thank
here.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.